holidays such as Easter would have Easter eggs, kind of to the springtime rabbits or whatnot. Christmas, you'll still have all these sort of Nordic sort of rituals, like Christmas tree.
All right, so
like all this other stuff that it doesn't relate anything to Jesus at all.
I got you, brother.
They found out Jesus wasn't even born. Yeah, this is a bad speculation.
I know. I'm not trying to interrupt you, man. But you're laying out 2 or 3 things, and then I got to go back and address these things. So I would like to do one at a time. You mentioned the eggs, and then you mentioned the tree.
Yeah. So basically, my one main thing is why is there so many pagan rituals within Christianity when it doesn't relate to Jesus at all?
Right, I got you. So the eggs are not pagan. It is a Christian ritual. Again, period. It comes from Lent. So I think it's all the way back to the, I want to say 14, maybe a little bit earlier. I can't remember. But the Christians would fast during Lent, and they couldn't eat dairy products, or not just, animal products. They couldn't eat animal products during Lent. So they couldn't eat the eggs. Now, it seems kind of funny to us because we have sugary candy in a refrigerator to keep all of our stuff. But obviously back then they didn't have a refrigerator to keep their food, and they didn't have sugary candies like we have today. So believe it or not, eating a hard-boiled egg was kind of a treat. And because they couldn't eat the egg for the entire week of Lent, they hard-boiled them in an effort to save the eggs. And then the earliest Christian traditions, when they come off of Lent, they got a treat. So they started painting the eggs red in an effort to represent the blood of Christ. And that's how it kind of turned into an Easter egg hunt that they would play with their children. And it was a great way to teach children about the sacrifice of Christ. It literally has nothing to do with pagans. Christians started the Easter egg hunt. Yeah, but hold on one second. I will. This is the problem when you lay 3 or 4 things out, and then I only get to address one. So now let me address the Christmas tree, because that's also factually incorrect. The evergreen was seen by Christians as a symbol of Christ because it doesn't unalive in the winter, right? It's an evergreen. So they started decorating it with apples and different fruits to represent the tree of life. So the Christmas tree is a Christian tradition, and it also is not pagan.
Pagan.
Hold on, brother. Let my man respond now. All right, brother, go ahead.
Okay. The eggs. So there are pre-Christian ancient cultures that use eggs as a symbol of new life. So it is a pagan ritual that the Christians adopted into Christianity.
No, that's not causation. Hold on, brother.
I let you.
No, because I asked you very politely. Stop. I asked you very politely to do one at a time, and the only reason I'm stopping you is because you're going to the bunny. Okay, stay with the eggs. Don't go to the bunny. I'll go to the bunny in a minute, I promise you. But then I have to address 2.
I don't know if you know how bullet points work. I'm pouring eggs, Easter.
Brother.
Easter, so
all right, brother. Let me.
I don't want Easter.
I know.
I'm going down to Christmas.
Let me mute you up, okay? I'm gonna mute you up just for a second. Let's clarify this, okay? I know how bullet points work.
I'm just giving you straight fast, and you're just pissed off.
Oh, I know. I'm mad because you can't follow. I'm asking you very polite. Interrupt one more time. Interrupt one more time, and I'm gonna kick you. Yeah, get off my stage. Get off my stage, you idiot. You're absolute idiot. I asked you to do one at a time so I can address it, and you literally just went from eggs to Easter. You have to show that causation equals correlation, because we know in a scientific method, causation does not equal correlation does not equul causation. You have to prove that. Just because some people, brother, mute up until I'm done, okay? Just because some, I know, unmute one more time. So just because some people used eggs in a pagan ritual, and now Christians also use eggs, correlation doesn't equal causation. You have to prove that. You can't just say these people used eggs first, so now it's pagan. That doesn't make any sense. The Christian tradition of hiding Easter eggs and painting the eggs started with Christianity. There was no other religious group that did that. They carved eggs. They decorated eggs. Eggs in other cultures represented fertility. That's true. But correlation doesn't equal causation. They did not steal this tradition from literally anyone. It is a Christian tradition.
Hold on. So, do you know the origins of Easter? Do you know the origins?
Yes.
It is Irish, and the Easter bunny is supposed to symbolize fertility, right?
No.
No, the Easter bunny does not symbolize fertility?
No.
what does it symbolize?
Okay, I mean, you got your condescending laugh there, like you know more than me. So let me go ahead.
No, it's just.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. I got a lot of different. I'm going to, if you'll just be patient and let me pull it up.
For coming off condescending, that wasn't what I was trying to do. All respect.
All right. Well, just the little haha, like I don't know what I'm talking about, but let me show you. All right. The first appearance was in Germany in the 1600s. It was called the Easter hare to begin with. Now, again, it is true that other countries use hares as fertility signs, but just because Christians use hares, or in Germany they used hares, you have to show that the causation equals correlation. Okay. So it was in the 1600s in the southwest of Germany, excuse me, about a guy named George Frank von, and I'm going to spell you his last name because it's hard to say. Franckeenau. That's a German name. I would mess it up. He was a German physician, and he wrote a book about folk tales. And in his first book he wrote, it was the belief that the hare laid an egg for children to find during Easter. He said, quote, and this is the first time the Easter hare is ever mentioned. It says, quote, children make nest for the Easter hare, which lays colored eggs for them. And the name of his book is De Ovis, and I'm going to spell this name again, Paschalibus, and it was written in 1682. That's the first mention of the Easter hare. So, and you left. So the Easter hare later become the Easter bunny. Now, it's not a quote unquote Christian tradition, but it's not pagan. And we know that the Easter bunny derived from Christians. It derived from Christians. One, because they call it an Easter bunny. So clearly Easter predated that, right? And secondly, it talks about the colored eggs, which come from Lent. So the Easter bunny come from Christianity. If you don't want to celebrate it, that's fine, but it's not pagan. You can say that the Easter bunny is not Christian. Easter eggs absolutely are Christian. You can say that the Easter bunny is not. Easter derived from Eostra. No, it didn't. There's only one monk that says that. Monk, B-E-D-E, Debe, however you want to say that. And we know that he got that wrong because the name Eostra come from, he said it's this goddess. Now, he does claim that Christians stole the traditions. You are factually correct about that. The problem is that we know that the day got it wrong. He mixed up the month, not the goddess. We know that this goddess never existed because he is the only person in all of everything that ever mentioned her. And he assumed, what most mainstream scholars believe now, is that Monk Bede assumed that the month of Eosternam month, if I'm saying that correctly, I'm probably not, I'll have to spell it for you. He assumed that the name of the month was named after a goddess. He was factually incorrect about that, and he got it wrong. And we know that this Eostra goddess never existed. So it's not true to say that Easter come from Eostra. It's not, because we know that she didn't exist. Even in folklore, she didn't exist. There's no archaeological evidence. There's no prayers. There's nothing to this goddess whatsoever. What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing good, brother. Hope you are.
I was listening to you online, and you was talking about the resurrection, and I was just curious if you believe in the resurrection, what are your reasoning? Because for anything, you have to have a reason for to believe in it.
Sure. It's going to be kind of a simplistic answer, but I believe it because it's true. And obviously I believe that it's true because of the evidence.
It's not a way where you can explain it like.
Sure. So I like to go to the textual criticism, obviously, for the evidence. The manuscript tradition is unlike, and it's not even matched by anything ever, not even close, the manuscript tradition that the Christians have. So the Bible didn't make Christians. Christians made the Bible. There was lots of Christians before any of the New Testament documents were written. There was churches, almost like I don't want to say like actually named churches, but there were groups getting together in these large groups, like you would say churches, before there was ever a New Testament document written. So they knew that Christ rose from the dead before they ever read it in a book, meaning that these were the eyewitnesses. Like the Bible claims that there were 500 eyewitnesses that saw Jesus go up into the clouds. So this was your early Christians. Christianity exploded overnight. It was illegal. When they started writing down what they saw and, what it was illegal to have these manuscripts. And so that they would be tortured and unalived for having these manuscripts. And Christianity spread like wildfire. It's also what we call an open transmission, meaning that it went basically, the Byzantine basically went all over the world and they didn't change, right? So we still have, a lot of the earliest documents. So we know what they wrote compared to what, this document went to the Middle East. This document went towards the West. This document went, in the Northern Mediterranean. This document went down into Alexandria in Egypt. And we would expect, if the telephone game is true, we'd expect those documents to change. But we don't see that with Christianity, right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you said, but it's still, you explain it documents, but it still don't explain how physically a person can come from the die and come back to life. What's the science? Y'all do not explain the cause that caused the effect,
brother. That's
for him to resurrect.
No,
So,
that's
I mean,
classified. That's classified as a miracle. So it would not be. I could not give it to you in the realm of science, right? Just like if you asked me to explain scientifically how Jesus turned water into wine, I couldn't do that because that's literally classified as a miracle. I couldn't do that.
Water gets turned into wine.
No, how he did it. Jesus turned water into wine. He used grapes that never existed, fermented in a time that didn't happen. So that's
Right, that's why it's a story.
Well, do you believe in abiogenesis?
Do I believe in abiogenesis?
Yeah. It's almost like you
there's
don't.
no
It's
evidence
almost like you
that.
don't want to answer that question. Is it because you believe in a miracle?
I just did.
Do you believe in abiogenesis?
No, there's no evidence to support that currently.
Okay, so then a God did it.
No, there's no evidence. to
So then
support
what
that
did it?
currently.
So what did it?
We don't know.
All right, get off my stage. Get off my
Why?
stage.
'Cause I'm all-
Yeah, because you're an idiot. There's a dichotomy. It's either evolution or God, and you just want to have the perfect scenario of nothing did it, so I don't believe it. Get out of here. I know you paused because you realized you believe in a miracle. That's why you paused, because you were embarrassed. Oh wait, crap! I believe in a miracle, abiogenesis. So did I answer?
Just because I asked about the resurrection, don't mean that I don't believe. Because I believe. I mean,
No, I got you, Timmy. But you asked me to explain it. You asked me to explain it scientifically. I couldn't do that. It's classified as a miracle. It's against science.
I mean, I understand that, but I mean, people would believe in it more if they knew the cause and effect behind it and why.
No, they
it
wouldn't.
occurred.
No, brother. If there was a naturalistic reason behind it, then people wouldn't believe it was natural. That you wouldn't believe in a miracle, and you wouldn't believe this was God if it was natural. Again, I wouldn't believe in Jesus if it was a natural cause that caused him to rise up. If it was natural, I wouldn't believe him. That's not the story.
You don't believe it, don't make it not true. Because the simple fact, I mean, if you ask the cavemen back in the day, told them that somebody was going to be sitting in the air, flying all the way across the air, they wouldn't believe that neither. But it's a reason behind it that caused it to happen.
Okay. All right. Well, if you got another question, maybe I'll come back to you. But Money, what's up, man? You doing all right? Money Man 1. I see you down there. What's up, brother? You doing all right? If you're talking, you're muted up and I can't hear you. All right, Jessica, what's up?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. I hope you are.
I find it really interesting what you're talking about. What makes you think that God exists?
I just went through the textual criticism. Did you hear that?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you hear me go through the
Sorry,
text?
I just joined, so I didn't
Okay,
hear you.
all right, no problem.
I'd appreciate if you revised it.
Yeah.
Today. That'd be awesome.
No problem. Well, I'll go a little down a different route. So for me, there's a dichotomy, right? It's either evolution or deity. And obviously, I don't see any evidence for evolution, so I go with the deity. Now, when I say evolution, I believe in microevolution, obviously. I think microevolution is a part of science, is testable and observable, but everything outside of that is not. So
Yeah.
that's why I go with God.
Why can't? Sorry, if you don't mind me interrupting. Why do you not believe that? Why do you believe that microevolution is real, but not evolution on a global scale?
Well, I literally just said that there's evidence for micro. There's no evidence for macro.
Yeah, but there is evidence.
Well, it has to be testable and observable, not inferred. And so let me give you the
no, it is testable and inferred.
Okay, Jesse, let me give you the definition really quickly, because I do this a lot.
Please.
And I don't want to argue over definitions. So for macroevolution to be true, then I would need to see genetic information gain. Genetic, because it's got to be passed on from generation to generation. Information as far as new structures, new code, new functions, new DNA. And obviously it would have to come into existence from something that wasn't there before. That would be genetic, or gain from something that wasn't there before. That's genetic information gain. And you and I would agree, I believe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if we come from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, then genetic information gain happened literally quadrillions of times. And all I need to see is an example of that that's not inferred, but testable and observable.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm an anthropologist. My master's is in evolution, and I'm happy to explain to you why we know evolution happened. If you're not open to it and you've got a closed mind, I won't explain to you. But if you want to be so hard-headed about evolution not being real, there's no point talking with you. So I'll come to you cleanly. I'm happy to explain to you why we know for a fact evolution existed. I mean, I've got a master's in it. And if you're happy to listen to it, I'm happy to explain it to you, but I don't want to waste my time talking to you if you're not going to accept what I have to say.
Well, I like to have good conversations, so I'm not going to.
Of course, I respect that.
So let's.
Bow down, motherfuckers. Jesus.
I'm sorry, excuse me. All right, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, awesome. So before I get started, so I don't cover things you already know because you seem very educated, what do you already know about evolution that you reject?
I just gave my definition. So like the one of the, I know. I'm going to get to it really quickly.
That you don't want to listen to.
I got you. So the one thing that I believe in micro, so I don't like examples of people bringing me micro, just as with, trait isolation. And then I do not accept degradation. And obviously I do not accept the fossil record. People can use it if they want to, but it quickly goes nowhere when they use the fossil record, because you have to be able to prove that those bones did something like had children. You can't do that. And you would have to prove that those bones, if they did have children, that they had children that lived. I could make a claim about any bone in the fossil record and say that this bone did not have any children. It died in the flood, Noah's flood, and that is the end of that lineage. And scientifically, you couldn't prove me wrong just as much as I couldn't prove you wrong. So bones usually go nowhere. And I don't like degradation. Degradation cannot be a part of evolution.
Okay, I'll help explain this to you the best way I can. So the thing with evolution is, I get what you mean. We didn't come from bones. That's inherent. I agree with you on that front. We didn't. Okay. The thing is we know for a certain fact, and I want to clarify. I'm going to come honest. I'm not religious. I am an atheist. However, as a scientist, I do need to specify I cannot prove God doesn't exist, just as you cannot prove God exists. It is a fallacy that we cannot come to a conclusion on. So there's no point us arguing about that. However, we know for a definitive fact evolution happened. Now, that is not to say your God doesn't exist. If you choose to believe in a God, that is up to you. I've got nothing personal to say about that. You believe in what you want to believe. If you want to be spiritual, that's up to you. However, if you believe in a God, you have to believe subsequently in evolution, because that is testable and that is observable on a macro and a micro level. That is definitive. That has happened. Okay? So if you believe in God, you would by consequence have to believe in evolution, and I'll explain to you why. So I think there's a misconception in the modern day where people are like, okay, well, we have modern apes. How are we supposed to come from them if we look nothing like them? That's a misconception. Our modern apes, think of it like this. They are our cousin. They have also evolved. We come from a shared common ancestor. Now, when you said, I don't believe in degradation, I don't believe that we came from bones, that is correct. We did not come from bones. We have evolved, and we can tell that it is observable, hence the scientific method, through the ways that we have adapted. We can tell through one, opposable thumbs. The fact we can move our thumbs, evidence of evolution.
Hold on, wait.
We're obligate bipeds.
I get it.
Can you just give me a second? I'll let you answer. I swear to God, I'll let you answer.
Okay.
Quick quick second.
Right. Yep.
The fact that we are obligate bipeds, not facultative, and not temporary bipeds, the fact that we have to walk upright with 2 legs is definitive of our evidence of being, of it being evolved primates. The fact that we walk with 2 legs and our narrow pelvis, and the fact that we've got babies technically prematurely, if you look at the evidence of compared to Pongo, which is modern day orangutans, it's the Latin name, which if we want to talk about Latin, ancient Greek, I'm fluent in both, so I'm happy to talk about that with you. All of the etc. that I'm talking about, we know that we have evolved through, second of all, like I was saying, the fact that we've got smaller pelvises and the fact we're obligate bipeds, we have to walk with 2 feet, and as a consequence, our pelvis is narrower and we give birth prematurely, as in humans give birth at 9 months, which is technically earlier than orangutans and other primates who have larger hips because they do not walk with 2 feet. That is the second bit of evidence. The fact that we've got less body here is a consequence of
All right, Jessica.
Thermal regulation.
I know, Jessica.
Sorry.
I know, yeah, but
go right ahead.
yeah. So I've asked for evidence that's testable and observable. You've made a lot of fact statements, and then I told you about the fossil record. We can't prove that, and the first thing you went to is the fossil record with opposable.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I completely misunderstood. You're 100% correct on that. I misunderstood. I didn't answer your question.
Yeah.
We can observe it.
Okay.
We can double check the fact that I'm sure you're aware is the statements you're making. You'll probably, if I can assume, if I'm putting words in your mouth, stop me and I'll correct myself. Are you talking about how you don't think that we can carbon date? Is that the issue you're making?
Yeah, I don't go with carbon dating, but
totally fine. I respect that. A lot of people don't believe in carbon dating.
Jessica, you sound really educated, and I'd like to have a conversation with you. Can we get to the evidence, because we mentioned some things that's not testable and observable?
I apologize. I definitely apologize.
Okay.
So the fact is, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, we can actually fact check carbon dating. It's called dendrochronology.
I don't want to do, ma'am. I do a whole teaching on carbon dating, and I can debunk that very good. But it takes me about 20 or 30 minutes to go through that. And I don't mind, but
I'm educated, so
yeah, okay, fine. They have to come up with other fields like wiggle matching, like the Hallset Plateau, like marine reservoir effect. I know you're very educated, but I don't want to sidetrack on that. I promise you, after this, if you want to talk about that, I will. I promise you, I will. I got a teaching on my page about it, but I want to go to evolution.
Totally can.
Okay, can we go to evolution?
Sorry. Forgive me. I'm trying to. I'm sorry if that's not coming across. What I was essentially trying to converse with you is that we do have evidence that carbon dating is accurate, and that's to general.
Ma'am, I don't care about carbon dating. Now I'm losing my patience. I don't care. Go to the evidence of evolution. That's what I want to see. I don't care about your carbon dating. Evolution.
I'm trying. And that is through the carbon dating of fossils.
All right, get off my stage. I don't know. You're like a robot. You're like a robot. Carbon dating. You're like a robot. I can't have a conversation with a robot. Go to the evidence. The first thing you mentioned, I said, look, we don't do bones because you'd have to prove, well, look at these monkeys. They don't have opposable thumbs like we do. So, evolution. That's not proof of evolution. That's just you making a claim. I need the evidence. So frustrating. You sounded really smart, but you couldn't get past it.
Sounds like monkeys. Are you fucking dumb, dude?
I don't care for your ad hominem things. You got any evidence?
You're going up against a scientist who knows what they're
Do you have any evidence?
Yes, she gave evidence. The skeletal structure.
What's wrong with these people? It's like I'm in upside down world. Give me evidence. And then they come in here and make a monologue. I don't have any evidence. I literally said you cannot use the fossil record because you have to prove that those fossils had children. The really smart scientist lady that was in here agreed with me on that. And then you come up and said she's giving the evidence of what she agreed couldn't be evidence. Stupid. Oh my goodness. I'm in upside down world today. Oh. What's up, Wildman? You doing all right?
Structure is evidence for evolution, you dumb fuck.
Oh my goodness. Again, the skeletal structure. We were designed that way. Can you disprove that?
What?
We were designed that way. Can you disprove that? Similarities does not prove that with common ancestry.
I could come up with a better skeletal structure than God. I could come up with a skeletal
Thank
structure.
you. Congratulations. Does that disprove that it was designed? Does that prove that? Get off my seat. Again, it must be because everybody's off of work and I'm just getting these absolute idiots in here. Skeletal structures. Okay, I think the skeletal structure was designed. Can you disprove that? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. It's not an argument, man. It's not an argument. She seemed like a really smart lady, and I'd love to have had a conversation with her, but she was clearly reading off of a prompt. That's why when she was reading, she asked me to stop so I wouldn't interrupt her because she had some notes she wanted to go off of, and then she couldn't get past reading that, in my opinion. I don't know that she was doing that, but that's clearly what I think was happening. She couldn't get past that. So I like to have great conversations with people. I do. But so far, I haven't got it. Skeletal structures. That's not, I believe that skeletal structures was designed. That's not proof of evolution. LT, I need some sanity, man.
Man, I mean, you're asking basic, fundamental questions. Can you prove evolution? Honestly, I would give the lady another chance and just tell her, let's not mention carbon dating because that's not going to help you. It's actually going to hurt you. So let's not mention carbon dating. Yeah, let her back up if she wants to come back up, and I want to hear her out, honestly.
Well, she didn't. She's not requesting back up. I wouldn't mind, but
okay.
she got stuck on carbon dating, and I did say that I requested her not to mention it like 3 times because my thing is like one at a time. If I do carbon dating, which we're on evolution, for the sake of argument, I told her I'll grant you the long time. You still have to prove to me evolution. I'll grant you the long time. But if I accept that, one thing, you know me, LT, the one thing I'm not going to do is allow this matzo ball to be sitting out here because she made this claim about evolution, and now I got it, or about carbon dating, and now I got to go defeat that, and that's going to take us off of the evolution topic.
Exactly. How long? What would be the furthest period back using carbon dating? Let's say it's all true and testable. How far back could you go with carbon dating?
If it's true, then anything outside of if you're using radiometric dating, you can go back billions, but carbon goes back. You shouldn't have any measurable carbon over 50,000 years.
Yeah, 50 plus thousand. All right, so how do we get the 50 million years to prove evolution?
That's not
carbon dating only goes back 50,000.
Yeah, the other radiometric datings like lead or uranium or strontium, those go back, quote unquote, billions. Now, I could argue with that because you got the 3 same fundamental problems in every radiometric dating technique, which is you have to assume the parent material, you have to assume that the decay rate is constant, and you have to assume that it's in a closed system and there's no leaching. And we know that, I would give you the second one. I would give you the decay rate. I would say that's pretty constant. It's nuclear reactions that causes this. So I would say that that's pretty constant. You still have to assume the parent material, and you still have to assume that it's in a closed system. And we know that it's not in a closed system. And if you have to assume the parent material that you're dating, then automatically you're going to get whatever date you want by assuming how much parent material is in it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jessica, welcome back.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And wow, I'm honestly so impressed you guys know about uranium dating and lead dating. Super keen. So if you're purely wanting me to explain evolution without carbon dating, if you'll allow me, I'll happily talk about
Jessica,
it.
if you want to do one or the other, I'm fine with it, but I don't want to switch back because then we're throwing a bunch of stuff out there and I can't address it. So I'd like to do one at a time. So if you want to do radiometric dating, I'm fine with that. But I want to do it one at a time, okay?
Yeah, it's your panel. However you want to do it. Would you like me to start off with giving you evidence without carbon dating?
I'm perfectly fine, Jessica. Whatever you want to do,
Beautiful.
Let's just stay on that topic, okay? That topic, whatever you choose, that topic.
So I appreciate that. I'll start by giving you evidence of evolution without carbon dating if you're open to it. Is that okay?
Okay.
Beautiful. So first of all, we've got genetics. We can tell that us as Homo sapiens share 98 to 99% of DNA with modern day chimpanzees. That already gives us a hint towards us sharing a modern past ancestor. We have a shared ancestor, number one. Second of all, we have observed evolution in real time. Like you said, you're also aware of microevolution, which seriously thoroughly impressed. I really appreciate you being aware of that. So within observed evolution in real time, we've got bacteria involving antibiotic resistance, which is hence, microevolution, as you mentioned. That's evident in viruses like flu and COVID. They're constantly evolving, and that's why we don't have a single definitive antibiotic or a single evident resistance.
That's great, Joe. No, you're good. Let's have a conversation because you've thrown out several things there. Sorry. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. All right. So you mentioned us having very similar DNA to the apes. You mentioned 98%. Are you familiar with them doing the complete genome of the ape DNA in 2025?
Sorry, you cut out. I'm from New Zealand, and you cut out. I didn't hear that last
No
part.
problem. Are you familiar with them doing the complete sequence of the DNA from the ape? I think it was in 2025. That's when the paper come out. Okay, so the 98% is inaccurate now. It's actually something like 84.
That's not what the paper came to the conclusion of.
It is that now I will say that they're debating it. It's clear they want to stick with the 98, but the percentages when you add them up show 84, not 98.
I'm trying to be genuinely. I'm trying to be so respectful. I mean, no offense. That wasn't the conclusion they came to. If you could send me the exact paper or send me a link or tell me who wrote this exact paper, I'd be happy to clarify with you.
So, like I said, they are debating it. They are debating it, but
that's totally fine.
If you just add up the numbers that they come up with on it, again, it's 84. But granted, I'll give you that. It's really not a contention. It's something that's nuanced, but it's not contention. I would expect similar DNA proves common designer. Like God wrote the code for DNA. So the DNA in an ape's hand, the DNA that tells an ape how to build a hand with 5 fingers, a nose, eyes, and a mouth, that would be identical in humans. So that would prove common. That would prove common designer, not common descent.
I totally get where you're coming from, and that does seem to make sense theoretically, but that doesn't work in practice because, like I said, we evolved from a common ancestor, as in if we put this into modern day terms, us sharing a grandparent. For example, me and our cousins, as in orangutans, chimpanzees, or gorillas, the 3 others. It would seem like that, but the issue is we've evolved for different purposes. As humans, because we've freed up, we've got what's the word? Opposable thumbs. The fact we can now walk bipeds means we've freed up our arm space. We can carry things, which is permitted us to use
I know that's the claim.
That has allowed us.
I know that's the claim, Jessica, but I need more. So let me go to your bacteria thing because you mentioned that real quickly, and you stated bacteria. So let me ask you about that. Did the antibiotic resistance in bacteria predate the invention of antibiotics? You muted up, or you got a phone call or something. I can't hear you if you're off the app or something. You're muted up. Hello?
Oh, am I back?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sorry, give me 2 seconds. My boyfriend's just calling me. Is it okay if I rejoin in just a second?
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry, give me a quick second. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. So if you guys remember, right at the very beginning, I stated that degradation could not possibly count as evidence for evolution. And she brought up antibiotic resistance in bacteria. That happens through degradation. So when she comes back, I'm going to show you guys the antibiotic resistance predated the invention of antibiotics. Pro, you won't back up here, dude? You're an idiot. I'm not allowing you back up here. You're too stupid. Can't have a conversation with you. You're not intelligent enough for a conversation. Money, what's up, man? And he left. He sat in here the whole time and didn't say nothing. I was calling him and he left. Yeah, she seems like she's very smart, but she's just making a lot of platitudes. I need the evidence.
Yeah, I got on live this morning and it was a Revelation series, and I was like, all right, man, let me tell you, I went 2 minutes in, and man, I heard about 12 different things. I'm like, bro, no. So I've already bounced around twice, man. I've been finding some crazies out there today. I don't know what's going on.
Excuse me. Yeah. I guess it's because of, it being a Good Friday and a lot of people's off of work, just getting a lot of crazies in here.
Yeah, but I mean, the lady seemed passionate. She seemed like she
really
did want to have a discussion, and that's wonderful. That's what you want,
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
I think if I could just get her to focus in, I think we could have a really good conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, that one animal that was carbon dated. Do you know the specific example of the animal? I think it was a woolly mammoth. It was something.
Yeah, where
they tested the flesh and they tested the hair, and they came up with 2 completely different dates of the same animal.
It was the skin and the bone, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the skin and the bone. They also, again, you can't even carbon date mollusks or anything like that because of the marine reservoir effect. It gives you centuries off. The amount of assumptions that goes into carbon dating is crazy. And again, we know that it's not a closed system because they find carbon-14 in dinosaur bones. Carbon-14 shouldn't be detectable in 50,000 years. But if a dinosaur bone is 65 million years old, then there should not be any carbon in it. And the fact that we find it in that, we also find it in diamonds, and diamonds supposed to be billions of years old. Yeah, what's up, Shepard? You doing all right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm doing good. I just want to say, evolutionists like to use carbon dating, and really, it's the half-life of it is only 5,730 years, which goes to the creationist side, not to the evolutionist side.
Yeah.
Because in the materials we're seeing carbon, we should not see carbon if it's over millions of billions of years.
Yeah.
And of course, they have to use multiple other dating methods, but most of the other dating methods can be corrupted by water, heat, atmospheric changes.
Yep.
They actually tend to over-extrapolate the age, and almost all of them are that supposedly date billions of years don't actually date anything young. They're unable to.
Well, it actually shows young. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet or not because I've been working on it and I got a lot of different projects I've been working on. But uranium is I think it's uranium. It's one of the billion ones. It actually proves a young Earth by the leaching of lead in it. But obviously, you're not going to hear that because it doesn't fit their narrative. So they give you all of the results that fit old age, but they don't give it to you anytime it doesn't fit old age. They just say it's a problem.
Exactly. And that you were talking a little bit about origin of life a little earlier. I just want to add a little bit of something here. When it comes to abiogenesis, which you technically need to provide an exceptional amount of evidence for the exceptional claims of evolution, and which we have not created life in a lab. And facilities that study abiogenesis have been consistently shut down because of lack of actual anything that comes from them. But when it comes to it, we have more evidence for dinosaurs existing with humans than we have for life coming from non-life.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I have like a full 1,000 at least files that I got from a few scientists evidence dinosaurs existing with humans. That goes along like eyewitness testimony, certain biological aspects, time periods, and certain dating methods that support it.
It's pretty cool.
Yo.
What's up, man?
So about your prompt, all I was going to say is technically Easter is
pagan. Oh, come on, man. I'm losing everybody today. What's going on, brother? You getting a phone call or you off the app? I can't hear you if you're off the app. Oh, crap. I didn't mean to accept that one. Foe, I think you're off the app, brother. I can't hear you. And maybe he's getting a phone call. Castor, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's up? I just had a quick question. Why do you think people get so pressed by your prompt? I'm new to your page, but
I don't want to just put it on the evolutionist, but I will say it's anecdotal, but from my perspective, any time that you don't believe, and again, it's not every time, but when you disagree with an evolutionist, they get so mad. Like, I don't care if you believe that. If you think that a soda can is God, I think that it's weird, but I'm not going to get mad at you. But evolutionists will get mad at you. And I think that that's the, a problem with that. It's more, and again, this goes to the spiritual side. It's more of a demonic belief system that the demon inside of you, you're attacking their religion. And evolution is a religion. It has a deity. The deity is time because the time can do miracles that nothing else can. And they do worship it, because, if you come in here and start talking, disrespectful about Jesus, I'm going to get upset a little bit, right? Because that's my God, that's my deity. So,
That
but
makes sense. Yeah.
if I was an atheist, I wouldn't get mad about you talking about evolution. I would just laugh and be like, okay, that's funny. But the fact that they get mad shows me that it's a religious viewpoint.
I studied evolutionary psychology in college and got a master's degree. And during that time period, I did almost start to question my faith. But if anything, I would say, and people are not going to like this, but I don't really care if people like it or not, that from what I studied, what I learned throughout the programs and practice made me feel like it confirmed more that, Jesus is real, and that what people think they're talking about when they're talking about evolution is what bothers me, because I feel like they're really inaccurate about what they're speaking on. It's really interesting, the word evolution, and I think people are thinking you hear carbon dating and these things and coming from apes and all that, when really that's not all what evolution's talking about. There's a lot more to it. That focus on that part that would make them question their solidarity toward just believing in those few things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where Jessica went. I hope she comes back in. I saw her in the comments, so I don't know why she hasn't come back up, but I was really wanting to show her how the bacteria example that she brought up is going to disprove her. So I don't know if she looked that up and is not coming back, but she was in the comments. So if you're still in there, Jessica, come on up. I really want to talk to you about that bacteria to show you that that's the exact opposite. And she just joined again. Maybe she'll come back up.
Well, she says she was in Finland or something.
Hey, there we go. Here. She's coming back up. Outstanding. I was
just going to say, though, real quick, is you're kind of right.
I'm so sorry. My boyfriend was on his way home.
Okay,
I
no
had to
problem.
ask what food we were wanting. I'm so sorry for the
You're
delay.
Fine. You're fine. So I was really wanting to talk to you about the bacteria thing. So you said the bacteria.
Yeah, the bacteria thing specifically. Sorry,
I got you. So
name right here.
You said that it's evolving because it's becoming resistant to antibiotics. So did the antibiotic resistance predate the invention of the antibiotic?
Yeah.
So then
no, because antibiotic resistance has always been around. It was only since a certain time period we've been able to test it. Once we were able to test it, we've been able to formulate antibiotics per se, and then that has been able to treat bacterial infections.
I got
Does
you.
that make sense?
Yeah, but they didn't know that at first, right? So the assumption is that it evolved from it. So your statement that it's evolved is misleading because it didn't. It did not evolve from the invention of antibiotics. It predated it, right?
Let me clarify, if you'll allow me to.
Mm-hmm.
What I think you're trying to reach is that you're right. Before we discovered this, we didn't know. That's inherent. That's intrinsic. The thing is once we discovered bacterial properties and we were able to test it, we discovered that yes, we can find, for example, antibiotics actually comes from willow root. If you didn't know that, it's really fascinating. You should look it up. So we discovered that willow trees, if you bite on it, it actually has medicated properties. That was when we had I think it was smallpox. We tested with cows. And that was how we developed not amoxicillin, penicillin, and that was how we discovered antibiotics. So the thing is you're right. You're 100% right on the idea that we didn't know about it until we tested it and we found out these properties. But since we've been able to test it, we have noticed that bacterial versus viral infections can be treated with antibiotics, and we can test that through, as you've mentioned, certain tests.
Jessica, I know, but hear me out. Listen. The antibiotic resistance predated the invention of antibiotics. So antibiotic resistance did not evolve. It was here first, right?
I don't know where you're necessarily going with this, because the thing is, yes, this has always been able to happen. We only got the technology to do this recently. Are you saying this wasn't possible before the technology? Because in that case, you're correct. We needed the technology to be aware of this to then formulate.
All right. So the thought experiment goes like this, right? So antibiotics was invented, and then later we started seeing this resistance. So a lot of scientists said this is evolution, except they found out that the resistance predated it, so it did not evolve from it. So the theory goes it faces a new threat, and when it faces a new threat, it evolves a mechanism to get around that threat. That's evolution. The only thing is that the mechanism to get around it was here first, so it did not evolve.
Okay. I don't quite get. If you'll allow me to, can I explain this to you in depth, or would you rather not?
Yeah, I don't mind, but I just want to make sure you get that. It predated it. We found it in permafrost, and we found it in the Itsy man's stomach. So if it predated it, then it could not have evolved from it.
So the thing is I'm sure, I'm 100% sure you're aware that obviously when we take antibiotics for it to cure an infection, we need to take the full course. Even if you start feeling better, you have to take the full course, because otherwise you can develop antibodies which can combat antibiotics, which can make you susceptible to massive, like, super bugs. Of course, it's a terrible disease. That's why I always recommend people taking all the antibiotics. That's because when you take antibiotics and it fights bacteria, it has to kill every bacteria, all of them, because the ones that are really strong, if you decide to stop taking it, the ones that weren't killed off immediately will then reproduce, and they will create superbugs. These superbugs are super harmful. So I'm not disagreeing with you on that front. You're 100% right. That still happened before we had, antibiotics. The problem is that with antibiotics, that has helped us notice that evolution can occur on a micro level, because, like, in case it's not inherent, obviously microorganisms, they do reproduce on a much quicker, much faster scale due to their, tiny, extremely microscopic scale, which is why it's called, hence, microevolution. So you're 100% correct on that front. That is how we can tell microevolution on a small scale. Where I'm kind of confused is why you don't see that happening, and you don't agree with it being observable on a macro scale. That's where I'm personally lost.
Great question. So now I still want to stick on this because it's very important.
Totally
the antibiotic resistance predated the invention of antibiotics, so it did not evolve from it. Secondly, I'm going to ask you this now, clarifying question. When it becomes the antibiotic becomes resistant, does it do it through new information gain, or does it do it through a degradation, a loss of information?
So, great question. Amazing question. The thing is when you take them and it kills everything, if you do not take it, the ones that have survived, aka we could talk about survival of the fittest, Darwin's theory of that. The ones that survive will reproduce, and they're technically the stronger bacteria. So when you've got stronger bacteria reproducing, that means you're going to inherently gain stronger bacteria from the reproduction, okay? So when we get that's
right,
the stuff
so
that really harms your body. So I'm not sure quite exactly what you're asking me.
Okay, so let me just tell you how it does it, and then you can tell me if you disagree, so that it'll make it more clear.
Go right ahead.
It does become resistant, but it does it through degradation. The receptors that are on the bacteria, the antibiotics can't attach to them. I forget the really long and complicated scientific name of those.
Good, we all do that.
Yeah, so let's do it like a thought experiment, okay? I want you to think of, like, the bacteria having arms and the antibiotics are handcuffs. The antibiotic comes in and they handcuff all of the bacteria and they take them to jail and unalive them, so they cannot reproduce anymore. But in every 1 in a million, there is a bacteria that's born without any arms. It degraded. It lost information. Now, in this one select scenario, it is superior in the fact that the handcuffs are immune to it. So it gets to live in the population, and it has children. And their children with arms get handcuffed and taken away, but the children without arms get to live and survive. That's not evolution. It's degradation.
Okay, totally. I now get where you're coming from. Can I please explain?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So you're right. You're making a great argument here. So yeah, resistance did exist before antibiotics, but that's not a problem for evolution. Now, if you let me finish, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. Antibiotics, natural chemicals, etc., etc. But the thing is resistance is not just degradation. Resistance usually comes from a specific genetic change, as in, mutations in a gene that change the target of the antibiotic, or acquiring a gene from another bacterium, like horizontal gene transfer. But that's really scientific. We don't need to get into that. So another thing is this gene duplication and modification. These changes increase survival. They're not random destruction. So it's classic natural selection, which is what I was saying. The resistant bacteria survive, reproduce, and spread. So I think a best example is E. coli, a terrible disease, which in one population, bacteria evolved the ability to digest citrate, which was insane. We didn't expect that to happen, and that's something they couldn't do before. This was a new function.
That's not true. That's not true.
So, please let me finish, please. I swear I'll let me finish.
I know, but that's not true. But okay.
Well, you can discuss that in a second. Remember, no offense, I do study this.
I know, and I'm gonna ask you some clarifying questions. But my thing is, I don't want to sound. I'd like to have a conversation with you, not just reading a prompt.
100%. I'm on the same page. If you would let me finish that, I'm totally open to that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The thing is, the same principle applies to antibiotic resistance. Bacteria gain survival ability They don't just degrade or weaken. So you're right in one instance, but the thing is it's not simply that. There's a lot of other factors at play here, and I'll let you finish. Sorry, I did cut you off, and I feel bad. Please continue.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We can have a little back and forth. I don't mind interrupting a little bit as long as we're trying to cut in, and it's on topic, and that's fine. It's not going to hurt my feelings. So, all right, a couple things. The experiment that they've done, you can go on YouTube and watch this, where they put the stronger versions of the antibiotic. They're not superior. You're only saying they're superior in this one specific field. Like I said, they lost their arms, so they're superior in the fact that they can't be handcuffed. But they degraded. They lost their arms. And when you put them back into the normal population, they are not inferior, or they're not superior. They're inferior. They almost always get outbred. Now, the Linsky experiment that you're talking about, you made some statements that it's not factually incorrect, but it is leaning towards letting people believe something that's not true. Like you said, it did not have the ability to eat citrate before. Yes, it did. It just did it in an anaerobic state. So it already had the ability to eat glucose. It already had the ability to eat citrate, and it has a flagellum that allows it to spin around, and it eats in two different environments, oxygen and unoxygenated environment. That's the wild E. coli bacteria. This bacteria in the Linsky experiment, their flagellum is degrading. Okay. So now you have the wild, their flagellum is degrading. It has the genetic switch that allows it to because they don't have lungs like we have lungs. In oxygenated environments, the transfer proteins allow in glucose. In unoxygenated environments, the transfer proteins allow in citrate. So what they started noticing is it started eating citrate in oxygen. So you could say, well, that's a new function. It didn't have the ability to eat citrate in oxygen before, but did it do it through a genetic gain, or did it do it through degradation? The genetic switch that allows the transfer proteins to change between oxygen and unoxygenated environment devolved. It degraded. It's no longer there. So it's stuck. It can eat glucose. It can eat citrate in an oxygenated environment. It's literally losing information. So you have the Linsky experiment, and then you have the wild E. coli bacteria. So it did not start doing anything quote unquote new. It already had the ability to eat citrate before.
Honestly, I just want to say I'm so impressed about this. A lot of people don't, and I really respect that you've put your research in. If you don't mind me clarifying, because the one thing I think we need to clarify is that antibiotics stronger doesn't necessarily always mean superior, and I think the way you're thinking of it, which I mean, once again, you've obviously done your research, and I'm thoroughly impressed. The difference is that resistance isn't about strength degrading the bacteria, it's about whether some bacteria have mutations or mechanisms to survive that specific drug. So for example, some bacteria pump out the drug or break it down enzymatically. Stronger drugs kill more sensitive bacteria, but any resistant bacteria survive and multiply. That is natural selection, not degradation. So I see where you're coming from, and you're right. The Linsky and E. coli citrate experience, normally E. coli can't metabolize citrate under oxygen-rich conditions. That's normal, which is how they were grown in Linsky's experiment. But in one population, if we remember, a mutation allowed citrate metabolism in the presence of oxygen, which never happened before, which is what I was discussing. That's a new trait evolving, not just activating an old pathway. So even if it could metabolize citrate anaerobically in theory, the key is it could now do it in the lab's aerobic environment, which was impossible beforehand, which is insane. So yeah, the misunderstanding between I cannot speak to that. The misunderstanding between degradation and evolution is normal. I get where you're coming from. Genuinely, I do.
But ma'am, it does.
Is that I think
they're not.
I think the way you're thinking.
When you put.
Sorry, just quick second. I'm almost done.
Okay.
I think the way you're thinking of it is that evolution only breaks things, as in degradation, or turns things worse.
That's what it does.
But in reality, evolution is just change over time. That can lead to gain, or, as you're right, loss of function. So gene duplication is a new function. Mutation, that's sometimes a gain, sometimes a loss. Selection determines.
Man, you're saying a lot. I'm sorry, you're saying a lot. But like gene duplication.
Sorry, my bad.
I got you. You say that that's new. That's not true. You're just inferring that.
But it is.
Okay. Do you have an example?
We studied this.
Okay. Do you have? And
what is your degree in?
Hold on one second.
It's in anthropology and archaeology, specifying Cleopatra the Seventh and her life in Egypt through looking through ancient Egyptian sources, not Roman.
Okay.
You want me to specify?
No, let me ask you this clarifying question, and then she's a scientist too. Y'all can have a great scientist question here in a minute. I'm not the arbiter of truth, and I could absolutely be wrong. So I'm just asking you for your evidence of gene duplication in something that we know it didn't exist in before and it does now.
Totally fine. I'm so open to doing that. Totally cool. Would you like me to give a modern example or one that, like, one of the
Yeah.
first ones?
No, give me something that's testable and observable, not inferred.
Totally. So, for example, we've got a real example is the antifreeze proteins in Antarctic fish. I can go into that. That's the first one I thought of. I can give you different examples, but that's the first one I thought of. If you'd like to Google it, go right ahead.
I've heard
so
about
that
it.
one was where we found that ice fish. Oh, perfect, even better. That's where ice fish live in sub-zero waters. A duplicated gene originally used for digestion has mutated and become a protein that prevents ice crystals from forming. This is a completely new function that didn't exist before the duplication. If you want to Google this, I'll give you time.
I know about it, but I'm sorry. We're getting in the weeds a little bit with you implied that gene duplication was new to this fish. It's not. Gene duplication was already in this fish. Now you can say that this mechanism right here is new, but gene duplication, it duplicating in the fish, was already present in the fish before this antifreeze.
Exactly.
Right. So that's not that was my claim. You said that
you're 100% correct.
Okay.
100% correct.
Right. So that's
bring it up as an example.
right.
Sorry, you cut me off there. You cut me back. Let me continue. You're right. The duplication event creates a copy of an existing gene. You're right about that.
Right.
But the thing is that copy is initially redundant. It has the same function as the original. So yes, you're correct. The sequence existed before duplication, but it doesn't mean the new function existed. That's I think where we got a little bit confused in that gray area. So
Right.
after duplication, the extra gene accumulates more mutations. In the Antarctic fish, these mutations change a digestive enzyme into an antifreeze protein. This difference means that, the function prevents ice crystals from forming. That didn't exist before. So you are right. You and your friend are sorry, what's your name? I think Lo something. You and her are right in that aspect, but you didn't let me finish. The thing is, like I was saying, the original gene.
Here's the problem I have with young scientists. It's like you want to have 33 different answers, but you want to give me and William two.
Well, what do you have to agree
with it? It's like you're like, I studied anthropology. Like, okay.
What did you study?
Biology.
Okay, specifying on what?
I'm a neuroanatomist, so I actually dissect the human body.
Beautiful. Awesome. So, what do you know about anthropology?
What do you know about what we're talking about right now? Because you've already been
because I study it.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
But all right. So let me get this train back on the tracks here. So it seems like, and this is in all respect, Jessica, I don't mean to sound, I hope this doesn't sound.
I take no offense.
Yeah.
I take no offense.
I end up chasing a lot of definitions, and then your claim always gets modified there towards the end, right? Like you claim that it evolved, the bacteria resistance, and then I show you, and then you're like, well, you're 100% right. Okay, then it predated it, so it wasn't evolution. I show you where it happens through degradation, and you're like, well, yeah, that's true. Then you made a claim that duplication was new to this organism, this fish, but it's not. Duplication already pre-existed in this fish, right? And I granted micro. I believe that God allows within our genetic code, and it took genes that already existed. I get that. And it modifies to allow it to do something that you might say is a new function, but sometimes it's degradation, right? And I gave my definition very clear at the beginning of this, that degradation could not possibly count as evidence for evolution. And I grant micro. So my problem with this is our definitions seem to be changing over time.
I respect that. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that you're providing examples like this fish that can survive below zero and everything, but when you're making these discoveries about the supposed evolving of it, can you actually provide data showing like, oh, we have a comparison of this is when this fish did not have this particular evolved gene, and this is when it does. Can we see that? Can we actually go into the data? Can we actually see like these fishes like not having the things that we say are new evolvements of it, when actually in detail what is considered new is just a new discovery. We're discovering things that we didn't know about. We're not actually discovering completely new things that came back last year.
Yeah, I get you guys from a minute. I'm sorry I haven't made it clear. I've been trying to hit the basics, but obviously you guys are all fully thoroughly educated in the subject. So let me cut to the chase, okay? So I will agree with the host in the sense that, yes, you are right. I have been agreeing with you on a lot of fronts. But that's because I'm not wrong. You are right on a lot of fronts. The thing is, I don't think you're grasping the whole idea as a whole. You've got amazing points that are accurate in a lot of areas, but I don't think you're putting it together as a whole. So I will answer what I think his name Shepherd has said, and I'll put it all together for you if you guys will let me just explain it all at once. So you're right. I'm not putting it together for you, and that's my bad, okay? Let's talk about this ancestral fish. So you're right. They did live in warmer waters. We know this. They lived above degrees of Celsius that were above zero. This was at the point where we had no antifreeze protein genes, or technically only non-functional precursor genes. They could not survive in sub-zero water. The ice crystals would essentially form in their blood and tissues, causing death. We have genomic evidence of this. The antifreeze gene is absent or only present as a non-functional protogene, which is, in case you're not aware, a precursor without ice binding ability in a closely related temperate species. So after the antifreeze protein evolved,
what you just said right there, Jessica. No, hold on, wait a minute. No. No, I know. Hold on, because you're very intelligent. What you just said right there was that it pre-existed. This protogene pre-existed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not evolution. Okay.
The thing, what I'm talking about is it has evolved. So, right, this did happen before, but remember, I'm about to get to the point, if you'd let me finish, where we can see the evolution happen.
Go ahead.
If you're like, honestly, that's all good. So what I was saying is that after the antifreeze...
I'm just going to let you know you're stuttering.
Hold on, Lo. Let her finish.
Okay, well...
Go ahead.
After the antifreeze protein evolves, we have the Antarctic, if I'm remembering correctly, notothenoid fish. I could be wrong, forgive me.
Yeah,
which is the ice fish.
Correctly.
That survive in sub-zero water, which is, I think, about negative 1.9 degrees Celsius. That means they possess antifreeze glycoprotein genes. This blood proteins actually bind to ice crystals, preventing freezing, okay? The genomic evidence we have is the antifreeze protein gene arose through duplication and mutations of an ancestral digestive enzyme gene. By the way, this sequence comparison shows the original gene still exists in its original form, while the new copy gained ice binding ability. That's hence why we can tell evolution's existed. We have the before and the after, which is, I think, what Shepherd was asking me to prove. I have that. If you don't believe me, look it up, please. So then we have the data comparison, right? We've got the habitat. Ancestral fish could not live within, warmer than 0 degrees Celsius water. And Antarctic ice fish, which they evolved to, can now survive in colder water, which is insane, okay? That's amazing. We then have the ice binding ability. Beforehand, the ancestral fish had none. Present day, they have antifreeze glycoprotein, which is what I mentioned. We also have their gene. The original had an original digestive enzyme, which is, I think, what you were asking me. Today, we have an original plus duplicated modified antifreeze gene. And beforehand, survival in sub-zero water for the ancestral fish was just death. Today they can survive. So this is insanely significant because it shows a clear gain of a new trait that did not exist before. And if you do not believe me, I really do implore you to look it up because I'm not making this up.
I know, but I have.
If this wasn't real, I wouldn't be arguing it.
I know, but I have looked it up, and it did pre-exist these fish. And they're closely.
No offense. Could you supply me with a source for this?
Well, no, you just.
I don't want to argue something.
Sure, I got you. Here's my.
You disagree.
Sure, no problem. Here's my source. I literally interrupted you earlier and stated that it pre-existed, right? That was my purpose of interrupting you because you talked about the proteins pre-existed.
We've agreed on that.
Okay, well then you're my source.
Well, my evidence, and once again, I'm not trying to stress, you are right in a lot of aspects, but you're not grasping my final points. You're right, we did have these genes beforehand, but you're not listening to the part where I said this is changing over time. If you want to disagree, I'm all for it. I'm open to learning. I love learning.
No, I got you, Jessica. I believe.
I'm open to read it. But this is
you were my source. You were my source, Jessica. That's why I interrupted you.
Mate, I understand.
Okay.
The thing is once again, you're arguing the first point of my point. You're saying, yes, you said this. You agreed with me. Once again, I'm not denying that. We did agree on the first part. The thing that I don't think you're quite grasping, or you are, and you're just, you haven't quite gotten there, is that I'm saying, yes, we agree on that first point where we agree that there was change beforehand, but now what I'm saying is look at how it's changed today. That's where I think we're getting a bit lost in translation, and there's a bit of miscommunication between the two of us. I'm showing you we have a before and we have an after. We both you're obviously very you're obviously very focused on the beforehand, which is fine. I totally get it, and that's where we are agreeing. But if we could just look at the difference between the before and the after, that would be amazing. And if you disagree, disagree, I'm fine for you to look it up. Try and prove me wrong. I'm open to learning. But genuinely, this is the best example I can think of on the spot.
I got you. And I agree with micro, right? I believe in horizontal gene transfer. That's what it's designed to do. I believe that new traits can come up through mutations. I agree with that. They always, almost always, I don't want to put something always out there, almost always support a pre-existing function. Just like when they removed it out of the E. coli bacteria for the ability to digest.
It's insane.
Yeah. It anyway.
If you don't mind me asking, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's kind of stopping you from believing that microevolution can happen on the macro level? Is there something specific?
Yeah,
or is it just your lack of evidence, or what is it?
Yes, a lack of evidence. I believe in micro because that's testable and observable, but I don't see anything outside of its genetic kind. I don't. People always show me examples of micro, which is what we've done today, or they'll show me an example of degradation and then claim that long ago and far away. And again, I like to use bacteria because it can have 9 generations in a single day. So evolution is not time based. It's generational based. So why is it that
sorry.
From apes to humans, we see 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 generations. We went from apes to humans. Why is it in that same generational count in bacteria, we always see either just micro traits that already existed being encouraged, or we see degradation? Why is it long ago and far away evolution happened, but when we test and observe it today, it's not there? And clearly you're talking about macro.
That's an amazing question, and I appreciate it. So the best way for me to explain this is that evolution is population level and not gradual, not individual. So I see where you're coming from, hand on heart, I get it. It is, it's a crazy phenomenon to think about. The thing is that individual organisms, they don't turn into new species. This, as you can imagine, happens over populations over many generations.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there, Jessica. Because you have to believe that. That's not true. You cannot not believe that.
Of course I believe it. That's why I'm talking
okay,
about
so did reptiles eventually go into birds?
Did reptiles go into birds?
Yes. Just using an example.
Yeah, birds evolved from theropod dinosaurs.
Okay, all right.
Evidence of this.
So if you believe that reptiles went into birds, then no matter what, you eventually have to believe there has to be a cutoff point. There has to be. There has to be a point to where it went from reptile to bird. Now you can say that that's extremely, minute, very small. I don't know where the cutoff point would be, but there has to be a cutoff point. Has to be. So you do believe
cutoff point?
There is a point to where it stops being a reptile and it starts being a bird.
Okay, that's a fair argument. So the way I can probably best describe this is that, once again, you're right. So there is no single cutoff point. Species don't change in one generation. They change gradually, which is what I was trying to say.
I know that, but that's not logical.
Okay.
Jessica, that's not logical. It has to be.
Please finish. Please. I swear. I'll let you finish. The best way to explain this is, a gradient from dark blue to light blue. At what point does dark blue become light blue? There is no exact pixel. You can just pick an arbitrary line.
But yes, there is.
Sorry, let me finish now. I'll stop. But there technically isn't. That's the thing. If you'll let me finish, I swear I'll let you speak. Just give me a quick second. The thing is that transitional fossils do prove this. We've got fossils like the Archaeopteryx, which is a mix of reptile and bird features. It has teeth, clawed fingers, long tail, plus feathers and wings. The Microbator has 4 wings and feathers for gliding. The Ancorinus, I think it's called, had more reptilian skin, but still it had feathers. All of these point along a continuum, showing that evolution is gradual. And this matters because the idea of a cutoff point misunderstands how species concepts work.
No, it doesn't. It's logical. Hold on, brother. Hold on. I got you.
Have you ever seen it?
I got you. Hold on. It's not logical. It has to be. Now, maybe you could argue that my cutoff point is different than yours, and that's fine. You could argue that. That's a reasonable argument. But you still have to argue that there is a cutoff point. When you go from blue to light blue, there eventually, scientifically, has to be a point. Even if it's just one minuscule dot of blue, there has to be. It has to be. It's called the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Eventually, if you lay a straw down on a camel's back, eventually you'll get too heavy and one straw will break the camel's back. And It has to. It has to, young lady. It has to. There has to be a time when it went from light blue to dark blue. There has to be a cutoff line to show what light blue is or dark blue. So you do believe that. That's frustrating when I talk to evolutionists to say that there's not a cutoff point. There literally has to be. You literally believe that one day, whatever you think was a reptile eventually gave birth to a bird. Now, you can say that they look almost identical. 99.9999% the same, except for this one molecule that changed. Okay, I'll grant you that. It still went from reptile to bird. There has to be a cutoff point. It's not logical if there's not.
Honestly, I get where you're coming from. And to a degree, you were correct. The thing is remember that we create these categories. Sociologically, we create categories where we define things. So you're right in that aspect that as of right now, contemporary times, we can say that. But the thing is, remember, this is a continuum. It's like saying that, what is the exact centimeter does someone go from short to tall? We do not know. We do not know when someone is exactly short, when someone is tall. There's a single person who crosses the boundary. We personally, as scientists and people that define these things, we draw the line arbitrarily. It's the same way with evolution, there's gradual change that accumulate, and as such, we apply labels. So
but there's a standard.
I hope you understand.
I do understand, but there is a standard. Regardless, if my standard's different than yours, I will argue that. That's fine. We can have different standards, but there has to be a standard. You can't say that there's not a standard, and you cannot believe that reptiles went into birds, and at the same time believe that reptiles never were bird. I mean, one of them. There has to be a standard there.
I get where you're coming from. Believe me, I do. I think the part where we're miscommunicating is that, yes, you're right. We have created categories, and you're right to question, well, it was this, why is it now this? That's so fair. But remember, we're creating these categories. If we let this continue for another 3 million years, it's going to change into something else. It isn't like it's like, okay, it's definitively done. They cannot evolve anymore. This is a continuum. It's continuum.
Micro and not macro.
But
you need a million years to do it.
And also,
micro, not macro.
What you just stated too. Hold on. What you just stated too is a faith-based statement. But listen, let me put a bow on this thing, okay? So, Jessica, I have appreciated the conversation. I've had a great conversation with you. I really have.
I appreciate that, and I agree.
Yeah. So let me now ask you. So when I have good conversations with people, evolution is not a salvation issue. It's not. The reason why I do this is, one, I want to strengthen the faith in Christians. I want to show them that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. And two, those who don't believe, I want to tell them about Jesus and get them saved. That's my point in doing this.
Okay.
And I've had a great conversation with you. So now I'm going to ask you, what do you know about Jesus? And if you would like to know more, then would you allow me to tell you about him?
I'd happily answer that for you. I know quite a bit. I've read the Old Testament and the New Testament. I've even read the Quran. I personally identify as agnostic or atheist. I do not believe that there is enough evidence, and even